Hello and welcome to our live stream Facebook webcast, or Zoomcast as I like to call them for today. Hi, this is Paul Hoyt, CEO of Ascending Harvest, coming to you with my best buddy, business partner, resident inventor, genius, member of the team, and founder of Ascending Harvest, Shane McKenna. We come to you every day about 1 p.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, and give you a quick update on the crowdfunding campaign and the status of our project, this great project to build this company, and share with you a bit of wisdom. You're going to really enjoy what we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. But before we jump into that, I just want to give Shane an opportunity to say hello.
Hello, everyone. Hey, you might have noticed that I was looking away from the camera because I've challenged some people to join us on our Zoomcast today and ask questions or to give their perspective on what we're talking about today. And so I was checking my Facebook messages in case one of my friends was asking a question, and it was Devin Thorpe, who I was on his Your Mark on the World program recently, which is going to air tomorrow. And so that'll be available after tomorrow. And Devin commented that I was his 1,000th guest. So
wow.
He has interviewed 1,000 people who are working to change the world. I'm so honored to be among them. And Devin, thank you so much for the interview. I really enjoyed it. I loved your questions. You asked great questions. And I really appreciate and am honored and feel the need to work extra hard to be included in this great group of people that you have highlighted in your career as a podcaster and author.
I'm really looking forward to hearing that one and sharing it. That's very cool that you got a message from him, because he's quite the influencer out there. Hopefully all of his listeners, how many listeners does he have, or people who download his podcast?
I don't know, but his podcast is in the top 10 business podcasts. So he's got a large audience. I guess if I was really well prepared, I would have known that information.
But that's cool. So we will share it with the world, and he'll have a few more people in his audience after he after he airs the interview with you, Shane. That's very cool. So we love to start out these Zoomcasts. I call them Zoomcasts because Zoom is the technology that we're using to record these messages and also live stream them to Facebook. A really nice platform. I'm very excited about Zoom. So when we do these Zoomcasts every day, we like to give you a little bit of a progress update, and we are making progress slowly on our crowdfunding campaign, but it's a little slower than we would like. So if you've contributed $1 before, we'd love for you to go contribute $1 again. It's only $1. It only takes a minute. And then share the fact that you have contributed with your social media network again. So each little $1 contribution, $5, $10, $40 contribution that you make, not only raises the level of contributions, but it also keeps the momentum going, and that's what we really need. So if you've done it before, do it again, and if you haven't done it yet, by all means, do it now. Go to our Ascending Harvest page on Facebook, where we're doing this live stream right now. There's a pinned post right there. It will lead you to our Indiegogo campaign. If you're just listening to this and you don't have access to it, all you have to do is type in a search bar, Indiegogo Ascending Harvest, and it will take you right to the Ascending Harvest campaign on Indiegogo. I tried it out a couple hours ago, and it works just fantastic. So go there, contribute $1, $5, $10, whatever you're called to do. Share in your social media network so that more and more people become aware of this campaign. So here's the deal when it comes to sharing. When you share, some small number of the people that you are connected to and with will actually see that post, because there's so much volume of information. If you shared today, you might get 10 or 15 or 20 people who see it. If you share it tomorrow, you might get 20 or 30 completely different people to see that post. So that's why it's so important for you to share often. So as I like to say, share early and often so that we can build the brand awareness of our crowdfunding campaign and keep the momentum going. We're 1 week into it. We have 3 weeks to go. We have a bit of a ways to go, but we're looking forward to the Devin Thorpe podcast, and we're looking forward to other activities that we're doing to really help us pick up the momentum. But you yourself, you right there, take personal responsibility, because you're the key to making this happen. You're the one who needs to share. You're the one who needs to contribute a buck. So thank you in advance so much for supporting this project, which is going to help millions of families in developing countries and refugee camps, grow their own food so they can escape the vicious cycle of poor nutrition and poverty. And we're going to talk a lot today about what that means. One of the things that Shane has often come up with in the conversations I've had with him and the times that I've heard him speak, talks about the relative price of a tomato in between one of us who's enjoying a very high standard of living here in the United States and some poor family in Uganda or Kenya. Talk to us, Shane, about the price of a tomato.
Yeah, well, first I'd like to say, if you had the goose that laid the golden egg, you would feel extremely blessed. And really what we're going to talk about today is that goose that lays the golden egg, that mythological story. There's actually a real world parallel to it. And if you live in the relative prosperity that we enjoy here, some of the highest prosperity in the world, then it's hard for you to relate to what a tomato means to the 1/6 of the population at the bottom economic rung who make less than $2 a day. So what I did is, being a bit of a math geek and a data geek, I created a calculator that allows you to go in and enter your annual income. And the reason that's important is because you work hard for your money. You have an idea of what an hour of your labor brings into you. You know with some relative assurity, how much money you create in a day through your efforts. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to show, what if you existed in an economy where you were putting out the same amount of effort, but you were rewarded with less than $2 a day? Wow. And then if you look at, if you were in that kind of economy, what the price of food is. And we picked a tomato because one of the things that our system does really, really well is grow tomatoes. So I wanted to show the relative value of a tomato to somebody who makes less than $2 a day. So I took the average income.
Shane, do you want to share your screen? Or do you want me to share the screen?
You know what? I don't have it on the laptop that I am.
I do. So let me share the screen so we can just guide it through. Hang on just a second.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you see that okay?
Yes, I can.
All right. So carry on.
So you can see here there's a blue square, and above that blue square is $59,000. That is the average median income of a family in the United States. Now, the blue square is where you would enter your income. Paul, can we just put the average median income in there of $59,000?
Sure.
So if you look at the average median income of $59,000, and then I've got some other information in here. I've got the price of how much tomatoes cost in America. So you've got everything from giant to small tomatoes, and tomatoes are classified by about how many make a pound. So 2 large tomatoes make a pound, 3 medium tomatoes make a pound, and obviously less than tomatoes that are smaller than a third of a pound are in the small tomato category. And then we look at the next line down, we look at the average income of the lowest billion people on the planet. That's about $700 a year or less. And then we look at what they pay for a tomato. This is the price of tomatoes in Kenya and Uganda and other areas of Africa where many of these people live. So you've got a giant tomato costs 60 cents and a large tomato 30 cents and a medium tomato 20 cents. Well, let's just look at a medium tomato. If you are in Uganda and you make less than $2 a day and your income was adjusted to the average median income of someone in the U.S., the cost of that tomato is $16.86. We look down here in the red. So what I'm trying to show is if you have the average median income here in the United States, if you adjust that to the poverty income of the planet or below, making the choice to buy that 20-cent tomato is the same as you making that choice to buy a tomato for $16.86. And I don't know about you, but there's times in my life when I look at I don't want to spend $16.86 on my entire meal. I'm like, I can't afford that right now. I had to buy some software, or I had to put gas in the car, and anyway, I just couldn't justify $16.86 to buy a meal. Other times, that's no problem. But imagine if you lived in that economy and a tomato costs you $16.86. What's going to happen is you're frequently going to forego the nutrition of a tomato, of a single tomato, because it's just too expensive. That's going to be something that's going to be a very rare treat if you even purchase at all. Hey, Paul, why don't we share some other income levels of some other folks that we have the privilege of knowing without
Let's do that.
Names.
I had a coaching client this morning send me an email message that said, hey, great news, I just took a job. And I won't give any more information on that, but he just took a job. He's been a coaching client of mine for the last 90 days. We've been working on confidence and tactics and, family relationships and all kinds of interesting things. But he was real excited because he just got a job that paid him $150,000 a year plus benefits. So, and I was happy for him, and he deserves it. He's got 20 years of experience, and, he definitely deserved that much from our society's level of compensation norms. So $150,000 a year is his new current annual income.
So if his efforts were adjusted to the level of efforts of people who live in this lowest rung of poverty, then just a medium tomato, 1/3 of a pound, is going to cost him $42.86. Then look over here at the giant tomato. Oh my gosh, that's, a 1 pound tomato is going to cost him almost $130. If you're bringing home $150,000, yes, you could afford the occasional $130, but I guarantee you're not going to buy one every day. That's not going to happen.
That's literally 200 times as much income as he's making as is the average income of the lowest 1 billion people below the poverty line. That's 200 times.
Yeah.
So that means, a dollar to them is, a dollar to us is like $200 to them. It means a lot. It means a lot.
It means a lot. I also want to point out right below the blue square where you enter your income into is a green square. And that is the adjusted value of the tomatoes that would be produced annually in one of our systems. So now we get to the goose that laid the golden egg part. So while you might not want to purchase a $42 tomato, what if you could grow $42 tomatoes? And that's literally what we're talking about, is for the amount of effort that somebody in poverty is putting into their daily function and their daily income stream. That 20-cent tomato is literally like the goose that laid the golden egg, because that 20% tomato, that 20 or I'm sorry, that to them, that 20-cent or 30-cent tomato is literally 15% of their daily income. Now, if they have 5 tomatoes ripen on one of their systems in a day, imagine what that does for them. They just doubled their income that day with those 5 tomatoes. Or at least added 50% to their income with 5 tomatoes. Now, what if they have 5 systems or 10 systems? Suddenly, they're able to add 50% to their income or 100% to their income with those systems. And the amount of time that they need to put into tending and nurturing those systems is very minimal. They will spend less than 2 minutes a day pumping it with air. How much time does it take to add water to a system? Not very much time at all. Now, true, they have to go get the water, but they don't have to use very much of it. So they don't have to expend a lot of their time, additional time, putting water in the system. And then once a week, they throw some organic material in as mulch on top of the system. And there's a few other things that we teach them to do, but literally, if they had 10 systems, they would put less than 4 or 5 hours a week into the tending of their system, and it could add 50% to 100% to their annual income just by growing tomatoes and squash, melons, cucumbers, and other things that are in high demand in their area and that command a high price because they're not normally available in their area. So not only are we giving people the chance to have access to nutrition, but we're giving them a chance to have some economy. They can trade their produce for goods and services that they need. But imagine once enough people in their community start producing their own food, imagine that it changes the whole nutritional economy of that community. So our hope is that these systems become prolific enough and that people learn enough about farming that they can start doing some traditional farming if they happen to have the soil and the other resources that make that available to them. But even if they don't, having a number of systems in the community is literally going to change the economy of the community in terms of the nutrition available and the price of that produce. And that's an exciting prospect because then you start sending those ripples out well beyond just the inner circle of those people who are growing the food.
Yep. And all of a sudden, they've got some more discretionary income that they can spend on things like books and education. They can spend on health and medical needs. They can spend on clothing. All of a sudden they feel much more empowered and confident. So it raises the nutritional economy, but also it raises, I would say, the emotional intelligence and raises the vibration of an entire community whenever they feel empowered like that, when they've got that source of income, something that they have created with their own 2 hands and the help of our human-powered hydroponic systems. That's one of the reasons that we have several different levels of contribution in our crowdfunding campaign. That we have the that's, just kick a buck, give us a buck or two every now and then. We certainly do appreciate it, and share the information about the campaign in your social media network. But $40 is the send the system level. $160 is a feed a family. $1,600 is lift a community. So, if you could feed a family of 4 for a few years for $1,500, $100 a month, $125 a month for a year, I wonder if you would do that. There are a lot of people out there who could easily do that because they're making that $150,000 a year or $200,000 a year or more, or they've been blessed with some inheritance or got lucky on some early stage technology company investment, and they can do that. And that's your opportunity as well, to not only assist us with a very small contribution, but to really help a family in a very meaningful way, or a community in an incredibly meaningful way with a larger contribution.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if you haven't traveled to areas of the world where people live in poverty, it can be very hard to relate to some of these dynamics. The choices that people make are astounding. Before we got on the Zoomcast, Paul and I were sharing some stories. Many, many years ago, in the 80s, when I was living in Europe, I traveled into what used to be Yugoslavia. And I had traveled there quite a few times. And I can't remember what city we were in, but this was an urban area, and there was an abandoned car, and the windows were covered with wire, and the car, when we went past the car, I noticed that there were some pigs in the car. So number one, this was a genius way to use an available resource, which was an abandoned car, to raise pigs in. Imagine the level of disparity that you start making that choice that you're going to raise pigs in an abandoned car. I mean, that is an incredible level of disparity. And then another time I was working in Mexico, and there is a village there that most of the entire village, the homes are built from used garage doors. There's a charity in the U.S. that finds garage doors that are being replaced. They talk to all the garage door guys, and they say, hey, when you tear out a garage door, instead of taking it to the dump, give it to us, and we'll take it to Mexico, and we'll build homes out of it.
Wow.
Now imagine that you live a level of poverty that you are recycling garage doors to build a home. It's an excellent use of an available resource. So I'm not knocking the program. I'm applauding the program. But the fact that it's required, the fact that somebody lives at a level of poverty that the home that's donated to them is made from garage doors. And many of the areas that we're talking about are areas that are much more impoverished than these two examples.
Yeah.
We're talking about people who their level of ability to attach to resources is so small it's almost non-existent. And one of the reasons why they struggle so much in Uganda is that so much of Uganda has been deforested, that for people who live in poverty and who cook with wood, they spend 80% of their income on wood to cook with. Now think about that for a minute. 80% of your labor, 80% of your work, 80% of whatever you can hustle, you buy wood just to cook food that you can't afford.
Wow.
So 80%, there's no way you're buying a tomato. It's not happening. It's just not. So if you have a system that's growing tomatoes, Imagine being able to pick those tomatoes and share that tomato to trade for some wood. Share that tomato so that you share the fire to cook your food together. There's a lot of options that become available, and that tomato is literally, that system's like the goose that laid the golden egg, because tomato after tomato after tomato after tomato ripens on that plant and is available for your nutrition or for you to trade for things that you need.
Great story, Shane. I really appreciate that. That really helps bring it to life about the difference between the standard of living that we enjoy here in the United States and the standard of living that people around the world don't enjoy, because they're living way, way, way below what we consider to be a poverty line, struggling each day just to find, something to eat and food to burn in a fireplace or in a open pit oven so that they can cook a little bit of meal for themselves and their families. So with that encouragement, reach into your hearts and reach into your wallets, kick us a buck, send us $5, share on social media. We really do have the opportunity with this revolutionary technology to make an incredible impact towards eliminating world hunger. With enough of these systems out there, we could even eliminate world hunger. It's going to take, there's 1 billion, hungry people in the world today. It would only cost us, $40 billion to put 1 billion systems out there. Actually, probably a lot less, because at that manufacturing volume, we'd be making them much less expensively than we're able to make them now. $20–30 billion for a country like the United States or for an organization like the UN, that's a line item on a budget somewhere. That's not unforeseeable or undoable at all. But we have to build up momentum to get the attention of people like that who can write those big checks, and you're the key to making that happen. Your $1 is the key to helping us build and maintain the momentum for Ascending Harvest so that we can fulfill our potential, which we are definitely looking forward to doing.
Yeah, that's true. $40 billion is less than 5% of what the U.S. spends annually on domestic poverty. We spend plus or minus about $1 trillion annually on domestic poverty programs. So, $50 billion would be 5% of that. And so, it's not in terms of the total picture. But here's the beautiful thing, is these systems have a return on investment. The systems are so inexpensive that they'll produce 4 to 10 times their value, and even more if they're well cared for. They will pay for themselves 4 to 10 times over their cost in African dollars, in Indian dollars, in Nepalian dollars. So it's, once these systems start to roll out, they're going to become less of a charity opportunity and more of a micro lending opportunity and more of an investment opportunity for people in the community to actually invest in them. Once somebody has a dozen systems, they can afford to add a new system each year and just keep building on, or 2 systems or 3 systems, because those systems pay for themselves over and over again.
Well said. Well, I'm very excited, and I hope you're excited too. I hope we have given you enough information and pulled your heartstrings enough to where you actually go in and do something, kick a buck, make yourself feel better, help us out, help the world out by sending us a buck or 2 or 5 or 10 or 40 or whatever you're called to do.
Yeah, we have $160,000 reward on there. So, if you've got a rich aunt or rich uncle, please direct them to kick in that $160K. We'd greatly appreciate that one, wouldn't we?
I would think 1 or 2 contributors at the $160,000 level would make a huge difference in a lot of ways. I'd be very excited about that. Let's make a little difference in the life of somebody by giving them a human-powered hydroponic system. every one of these Zoomcasts that we do, we give away one of our human-powered hydroponic systems. The way we do that is I download a list of the email addresses and names of everybody that's gone to ascendingharvest.com and given us their name and email address, and or contributed to the campaign in some way, or is a friend of the campaign or a sponsor of the campaign. So that makes you eligible for a prize drawing. And we're on prize drawing number 30. We've given away 29 so far, and today we're going to give away number 30. The way we do that is Shane gives me a number between 1 and 10,000. I plug it into my list, and off we go. Shane, what's the number of today?
All right, I'm pushing generate. The number is 4097. Let's see if I can get that to show up on the screen here. There it is, 4097.
It's almost close to one of my very favorite numbers, which is 4096. And the winner for today is Robin Crest. Robin Crest is a friend of mine who I talked to this morning for about 30 or 45 minutes. So I think the fate is with her. So Robin Crest, congratulations. You're the winner of a human-powered hydroponic system. We'll send one to you when we get out of manufacturing, probably late in the first quarter of 2019. Or you'll have an opportunity to donate the system to a family in your name at that particular time. So congratulations, Robin, and to the other 29 people that we've given away one of these systems to. And if you are anywhere near your computer, go to ascendingharvest.com, give us your email address, and you'll be added to our prize drawing list. Or better yet, go to Indiegogo and look up the Ascending Harvest campaign there and kick us a buck, and you'll also be eligible for one of these prize drawings. Great conversation today, Shane. I really liked the conversation, the story about the pigs and the story about the garage door. And, you know, hopefully we touched people a little bit who are in abundance and given them a sense of gratitude for what they are experiencing in life, and maybe touched on them a little bit about the responsibility and the opportunity they have to make a huge difference in the lives of somebody across the world who they don't know. But by lifting them up, you lift up everybody on the entire planet. That's the nature of consciousness, the nature of the vibration of humanity, is we lift each other up, and continually over the years we evolve as a species, we evolve as a society.
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, one of the great things about having these experiences of experiencing the lives of other people and what they might deal with, I call this particular responsibility of owning the knowledge to create the technology behind Ascending Harvest. I call that my exquisite responsibility. And the reason I call it that is because it's so important that the impact of it and the weight of that mantle upon me is quite exquisite. I wouldn't want to live with myself if I didn't pursue making this technology available to the world, and particularly to those who are in poverty. So I want to, not in a way of guilt, but in a way of gratitude and in a way of abundance, remind you that you also have an exquisite responsibility, because now you know that this is available. You know that there is an opportunity to empower people, and you have to decide for yourself if that exquisite responsibility of that knowledge is worthy of you taking action on it. And that's not that's not guilt, that's gratitude for all that you've been given, which is the same way that I look at my exquisite responsibility. I was given this knowledge, I was blessed with it, and I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure that people have access to it. So please look inside and ask yourself, is this an exquisite responsibility for me? And if it is, take an exquisite action. And an exquisite action would be to move it forward, to do something with that knowledge and that power. And I thank you very much for making that choice.
I'm just going to leave it at that. Thank you very much, Shane. Thank you, everybody who listened to this recording. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Ascending Harvest Daily Update. In between now and then, please go contribute and share and honor your exquisite responsibility. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.